Once we finish this 3-part reunion of season 11 of Married to Medicine, I never want to see Sweet Tea and Dr. G on my television ever again. And it might not be for the reasons that you think. It absolutely is for the reasons why you think. However, I do have 5 main points as to why I do not want them to return. I just realized that was mad rude. Let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm the hip hop homegirl Tatiana Janine, music and entertainment journalist, and over the last decade, I have cultivated an online community based on my opinions on music, pop culture, and reality TV. Number 5, off the rip, Sweet Tea was used as a pawn to unsuccessfully push Quad out the group. In 2023, allegedly Quad had negotiation contract issues and negotiations for her to return to season 10 of the show were stalled. During that time, it was announced that Dr. G would be returning to the show with his new wife, then fiance, Sweet Tea. If you paid attention to season 10, just the first episode in general, it might as well have been called Quad, because all during that first episode, everything was about, have you heard from Quad? Have you seen Quad? Quad this, Quad that. Meanwhile, Quad was on screen all of 22 seconds. And that's because she didn't sign her contract until April 2023. And the show was knee deep into filming. It was also announced during this time that Phaedra was joining the cast of Married to Medicine. She was set to replace Anelia, who left after all of that toxic shit with Toya. We'll get to that a little bit more in a second. And Dr. Alicia, who was supposed to be on the Married to Medicine DC cast before that show got canned, came on to replace Dr. Contessa. So going back to season 10, episode 1, how are we introduced to Sweet Tea? Of course through Dr. G, but who is the friends that bring her onto the show? Simone and Toya. Infamously over the years, especially post-divorce, Quad has had a lot of issues with both Toya and Simone that have resulted into them just not being friends, not being kind to each other at all. During the season 9 reunion, we saw a lot of back and forth between Toya and Quad, with Toya being accused of being the one to spread the rumors that Quad slept with her contractor to get her house done, and Quad standing on business and saying that she believed that Toya and Eugene had something to do with Anelia's home being burglarized. After the reunion, again, something that has been on trend since her divorce, Quad went radio silent with the cast. I think that one, season 9 more specifically, was a toxic reunion than we were used to seeing. So Quad left the girls. She went to Nigeria, had a time of her life with Yandy and her other friends. And then she came back, tried to negotiate her contract. Those negotiations fell. She was on social media playing it up as if she was returning. So obviously producers pivot, because Sweet Tea was convinced by both Toya, Simone, and a little bit by Dr. Heavenly, admittedly so, to join the cast. So when Quad finally did join the cast, it made things a little bit awkward, because the plan from the girls was to basically ice Quad out. And we saw that play out in real time in everything that happened with the trip with Napa. When you watch season 10, episode 1 of Married to Medicine, you notice that there are a lot of jabs taken at Quad from both Simone and Cecil, which we can talk about later, Dr. G and Sweet Tea, which leads me into point number 4. Letitia's a fan. She's a fan. She is the biggest fan. That is something I have been saying since episode 1 of season 10. She is a huge fan. First of all, let's talk about how her and Greggory met. Down in the DMs. Fine, sure. If that's what you want to do, if that's how you find love, that works for you, babe. I last on dating apps all of 8 hours before I'm deleting my profile, so I can't judge. However, she hopped in that man DMs and said something very specific. I can give you what you need. And if you know anything about Greggory's time on Married to Medicine, he was a thirst bucket to become a parent to which Quad refused because she felt like the marriage was too toxic to bring a child in. So when she hopped in his DMs and said, I can give you what you need, she was talking about a baby. Then she took the trip from DC down to Atlanta, spent the weekend with him in her little floral dress, and then now they're married. It works. But again, referencing season 10, episode 1, the constant shots at Quad off the rip. Girl, the camera is fresh in your face, and you're talking about some I don't feed my man on paper plates. Who even remembers that reference on the show? Like, that was such a small piece of argument of what a small piece of a larger argument that Dr. G and Quad had on camera. Like, who would even remember that to be like, I don't feed my man on paper plates? And then there was subtle jabs about him taking the trash out, because you know that was a big deal when Greggory most viral moment on the show was him running out the house and speeding off in that little PT Cruiser after him and Quad got into an argument about him taking days or however long to take the trash out. So it was weird in that regard, because it's like, not only did you watch this show, but you had to study the show before you moved down to Atlanta and moved in that lady house, because that is still Quad house. And then the thing about her moving into the house that Quad and Greggory built together is that throughout season 10 and 11, we see so many references to how the house used to look when Quad was there versus how it looks now. Heavenly infamously said that she was a Target girl based on some of the redesigns that she did to the home. In season 11, we see her with Dr. Mimi pulling things out of the basement, and she says some of this stuff is Quad's. Them people been divorced for like 6 years. Why the hell is Quad stuff in the house? I'm fully convinced that if Quad didn't run off with the Sealy Posturepedic, she would still be laying in the mattress that Greggory and Quad laid in during their marriage. Greggory is cheap. And the whole thing is like, it's not even about like just buying another home, because I get it. Like, you a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and your reviews on all those psychiatrist platforms aren't that good. Like, they think he's trash and he's dismissive towards women's symptoms. They think his staff is trash. So I get it. You're not really rolling in the dough to just get up and move. But you ain't bring no preacher in there to pray over that house. You didn't bring nobody over to sage out that house. At the very least, I would have been like, hey, we need to get rid of all this furniture. She worked a government job. They could have saved some money up to get new furniture. Like, we need to clear this house out of your ex-wife. There's no way we're a year deep in our marriage and your ex-wife's shit is still in the basement. Huh? Cool. Okay. So also, let's talk about the first time that Quad and Sweet Tea met, which was at Sweet Tea's bachelorette party. Let's take the whole, Phaedra invited her, brought her in thing, because I truly think that was something that was filmed after, considering the time that Quad finally signed her contract to come on. I'm not very sure about Greggory and Letitia's wedding day, but I do know that it was April 2023 when Quad signed her contract, and they were deep into filming at that point. So I feel like a lot of the filming that happened was retro filming to fill in the spaces of the storyline, and Quad showed up to work. Going to that bachelorette party was Quad showing up to work. But Quad came in very gracious with a gift. Hey, girl, nice to meet you. I don't want you to think it's odd because you marrying my ex-husband, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And I fully believe that had Toya not told Sweet Tea to kick that girl out, she would have let Quad stay all night long. And her and Quad would have sat there and chat, and they would have exchanged notes, and Quad would have gave her tips like Greggory likes this, that, and the third. And I think Sweet Tea would have ate it up. Because in actuality, she is a fan. And then let's fast forward to season 11, the girls yippee-ki-yay trip when they was down being Cowboy Carter or whatever was going on at the hoedown. When she sat there, she meaning Sweet Tea, sat at the table and said, I was very upset at you for mocking my accent when you was online with Heavenly. And Quad said, you know what? I made you feel some type of way. I apologize. And she immediately accepted it. She said, I accept your apology. Even Heavenly was like, girl, what the fuck? You want me to kiss your feet, kiss your husband's turtle shell? You want me to scratch your back and pay for your endometriosis treatment for you to even consider forgiving me? But all Quad gotta say is, I'm sorry. This is my sorry for 2024 and you good? And what did Sweet Tea say? I think her heart is pure. Girl, you is a fan. And when Quad had said to her on the couples trip, I'm what you want to be, it didn't have anything to do with Dr. Greggory, and it had everything to do with her status on the show, which goes back to point number 5 of her unsuccessfully being the pawn to push Quad out. Toya and Simone and sold that girl some dream that she was just going to be the new it girl on the show. She was going to have it all. She was going to gain all the fans, all because she married Dr. G. Girl, don't nobody like no motherfucking Dr. G. I've never talked to a Married to Medicine fan. And if you see me looking down, it's because I have bullet points, so I'm not sitting up here rapping for 45 minutes. But I have never encountered a Married to Medicine fan that be like, you know who my favorite doctor is? Dr. G. Dr. G most infamous moment is him crashing out and speeding off in that little car. We like Quad because Quad is a personality. And I used to infamously say during season 1 and season 2 that Quad and Mariah act like two jizzed up drag queens. And I stand by it because they did. But once that started to mellow out and we saw more of like their personalities mixed with like how they use the queens. And when I say queens, that's queens with a K, not queens with a Q. How they use queens culture and everything like that. Quad is a likable person. I think that Sweet Tea was sold a dream specifically by Toya and Simone, and she's now seeing that that dream is deferred, babe. It's not happening. You will never be a likable personality on this show. I think she's a sweet girl, but I don't think this is the type of platform for her. Luckily this season she's had Contessa and they've been able to bond over both being in the military, and she needed a friend. She needed a friend. I wish Contessa came back and focused more on fixing her relationship with Heavenly, but back to Sweet Tea, she had Contessa this season as like her right hand, and she thought she had Dr. Mimi, but the thing I appreciate about Dr. Mimi is that Dr. Mimi was very neutral and really just like did what a therapist is supposed to do and rationalize everything from everyone's perspective. And I think she thought bringing Dr. Mimi in that Dr. Mimi was going to be 10 toes down for everything that she did. But Dr. Mimi also called them out on their BS, especially when it came to the fight on the beach during the couples trip, yada, yada, yada. But Sweet Tea, which leads me into point number 3. Sweet Tea wears her feelings on her sleeve, and she doesn't have the personality for reality TV. The thing with being on reality TV is you have to learn how to take the critiques because they're coming from everywhere. They're coming from your castmates. They're coming from the fans. They're coming from the producers. They're coming from the network. You're going to be critiqued at all costs. And automatically, especially going into this season, Sweet Tea was on the defense. And I think as time went on, she started to notice, oh, these girls don't like me. They just dislike Quad more. And she'll always have a friend in Simone because whatever Simone got going on with Quad, it's only something that her guy and maybe LeBron knows. It's really taken over and gotten very ugly. But Toya has now, and it's been really refreshing to watch. Toya is now in a place where she can understand more. And it was good to see her and Quad make up this season, because her and Quad, their friendship was always fun. Especially like when they had, when Toya and Eugene had tax problems, and Quad came over and was like, Toya, y'all ain't pay y'all taxes. And the next time she came over with the care package with the noodles. And Toya did feel some type of way about it. But I think Toya also understand that it was coming from a fun, pure place of just her friend trying to make something light out of something that is very devastating and heavy, because you basically found out that your accountant has been jerking you around for years. And with being the first in your family to make this type of money, these are growing lessons you and your husband are going through as a family. So, ooh, child. So I think Quad's position in Toya's life, I think it was very lighthearted and fun. And it was always mixed because Quad was Mariah's friend. We know Mariah and Toya had conflict from the jump because of what Toya allegedly did as far as the paternity of Mariah's daughter Lauren was concerned, and all of that stuff during season 1. But I think Sweet Tea is starting to realize that she was used as a pawn, at least from the Toya standpoint about it. So she's very defensive on all ends. She uses her YouTube channel as a way to, answer the questions or defend her actions on the show the night before. And I know people give Heavenly a lot of slack about her YouTube, especially because she's done things like accuse her castmates' husbands of abuse and things like that. But the thing about Heavenly and her Patreon and her YouTube is that Heavenly also calls herself out on her shit. Heavenly fully understands that she needs to go see the lady. Heavenly cannot be a great friend to anyone until she goes see the lady and unpack all of that trauma she has surrounding her mother and sister. Until she does that, she won't be able to be the best friend she can be to these women. And I think she understands that. On the other hand, I think the women also understand that. And Quad and Jackie specifically accept Heavenly for the woman that she is. Sure. But when Sweet Tea is on her YouTube page, it's not a let's discuss what happened on Married to Medicine thing. It's let's discuss what happened on Married to Medicine, and here's why I'm right for every way that I reacted to everything. She places herself not necessarily as a victim. Well, maybe as a victim of circumstance and being put into this feud and put against Quad. And she just, I don't know, again, with the whole being a fan thing, I just don't think she knew what she was signing up for. And then the critiques about her reunion outfit for season 11, her response to the critiques about her season 11 reunion outfit was to put AI over her face. Babe, they don't like the dress. It don't have anything to do with your face. You're a beautiful girl. Your makeup was fine. They hate the dress. They said you looked like you was going down to the junior prom in the dress. They hated the dress. You did not have to show everybody that you use Facetune. That was unnecessary. So now every pic that you post, or every pic of you and your husband that come across my timeline that they say came from your page, I look at it to see if you Facetuned it. And you do that a lot. You don't have to. You're a beautiful girl, mama. You're a beautiful girl. You really don't have to put no Facetune. They hated the outfit. And that's okay, because you were born in a town where there are only 400 people. And you were raised in Texas. You're a Bama. You're a Bama who's married to a very cheap man. We know you're not going to turn it out during the reunion. We know it, because Quad looked crazy her first couple of reunions. That swoop bang during the first one with the bun, when Quad was pulling out the signs, delusional, fraud, We know Dr. G is cheap and he's not paying for you to turn the reunion out. We get it, but that's also why you need to keep your job and keep your coins, because you could have. It just gave prom. That's it. It gave prom. It didn't give reunion show. I have a Pinterest, little thing with reunion inspired dresses. We could have got you something better, but that's okay, because that's the growing pains about being on reality TV, right? When you get on reality TV the first time, we expect your wigs to be bad season 1, and we expect your fashions to not be up to par as everyone else. Look at Stacey from the Real Housewives of Potomac. You cannot find a part in that lady's wig. We gotta plant Moses right there to give it to her, because it's not in sight. Okay, that lady wears her wigs like T.I. wear his fitted caps. But I'm sure once we see her next season, because she better be coming back next season, I'm sure when we see her again, it's going to be better. That's the evolution of being on reality TV. We watch you evolve and grow into your beauty. And you're young. You're like, what, 33 now? You young. You got a little time to turn it out. But the fact that everyone said, oh my God, I hate her outfit, and you face-tuned your face, that's not it. That's not it. And then let's go back to after the couples trip, when her and Dr. G got into it, and everyone was talking about how uncomfortable it was, because it reminded them, that Quad accused him of abuse, which I feel like, and I'm going to say this on the record, I feel like the way that Andy handled those accusations during that reunion was absolutely deplorable. If someone is abusing me and I finally decide to pull a knife out on them, that's not us abusing each other. That's reactionary abuse. Okay. And Quad posted how, it was very triggering for her to watch, because it reminded her of the dark times with Dr. G. And then Sweet Tea gets on YouTube with Contessa, and she's like, oh, everyone is saying I'm getting my ass whipped. Like, her and Contessa was making light of it. And I thought it was really tacky on Contessa's behalf, because you were at that reunion when Quad had came out with those abuse claims, and you said you supported her. And for you to get on there and say, oh, girl, they said you get your ass whooped by your little turtly husband. Oh, yeah, girl, they said I'm getting beat up. I promise you, Dr. G wouldn't ever put hands on me. He was just having a bad day because one of his clients tried to attack him. Okay, girl. It's like, defend your man, defend your marriage, stand by your man. Absolutely. But come on, take a beat. Take a beat and think about how you're reacting to things. Number 3. Greggory and Letitia don't have shit going on this show. Let's call a thing a thing. I have watched these people get married and talk about Heavenly and talk about Quad. That's it. I've seen them talk about family planning 3 times. Any other time, it's about how Heavenly is doing this, how Damon ain't holding Heavenly accountable for that, how Quad is this, Quad is that, Quad shit is in the basement, blah, blah, blah. What do y'all have going on outside of that? When Dr. G and Quad were together, we watched Quad set up his medical practice, get everything together for the opening of his practice, while she was also working on her own ventures, like her puppy couture line. It's fine. Somebody bought it. Her puppy couture line and her cookbook and other things. I understand that Letitia works for the military, so she can't show us what she does on a day-to-day basis. But damn, mama, you don't have shit else going on? Like, what do you and your twin do for fun? How often do you see her? What else do y'all have going on? Because y'all spend so much time talking about Heavenly and Quad that y'all might as well host an after show on Peacock about them. Greggory is not likable. I've already mentioned it, but nobody gives a shit about Greggory. Nobody was saying, man, you know what this show is missing? Dr. G. The husbands don't even like him. And you know how I know the husbands don't like him and hang out with him for real, for real? Because they all call him Greg. Greg is Greggory's twin brother name. Yeah, go ahead, look it up. Some of y'all might have found that out, but I found this out like during the pandemic. Because Greg had released a book. But Dr. Greggory's twin brother name is Greg. And he got a whole bunch of letters after his name. I don't know what they are. It's just a whole bunch of letters. I don't know if it's social work or I don't know. He just got a whole bunch of letters after his name, which is why when I talk about Dr. Greggory, I specifically say Dr. Greggory. Because if his brother is a doctor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist or something like that, you know, I'm pretty sure that the SEO is real fucked up in that regard. So, yeah, Dr. G is not likable. The husbands don't like him. I think last season, during season 10, when Cecil said that Greggory leveled up, he said that because Simone told him to say that. I don't think he believed that. At best, Quad to Sweet Tea is a lateral move. I don't see any qualities in Sweet Tea that make me think that she's a better woman than Quad. I don't see any qualities in Quad that makes me think she's a better woman than Sweet Tea. I think it was very much a lateral move at best. Sorry. Beautiful girls, gorgeous, gorgeous girls. Sweet Tea is a little naive, like her husband said. Sorry to say it, but again, she's a country Bama. But yeah, like nobody likes Dr. G. Nobody likes Dr. G. Look how the husbands interact with him. They don't like that man. They have not hung out. None of them hung out with that man until he got engaged and they was trying to get them back on the show. They had not thought about that man in years. And I'm sure they're all thinking that they're better off without him. Dr. G is not likable. Don't nobody... I don't have to soften my approach for Todd. Like, what? And the number one reason why I think Sweet Tea and Dr. G should step down after this season is because this is not the way you build the foundation for a marriage. Sweet Tea has accused Heavenly of being one of the reasons why she is unable to conceive, saying the stress of dealing with Heavenly is too much for her to focus on conceiving a child with her husband. I'm going to tell you, just like I tell the people online who claim that they get harassed on social media apps and stuff like that when they enter into debates nobody asked them or invited them to or told them to get into in the first place. Babe, you could just log off. If the stress of dealing with Dr. Heavenly is causing you so much distress that you're unable to conceive, the solution is pretty easy. Get the fuck off the show. Heavenly ain't going nowhere. Heavenly been here 8. What season we on? 11. Heavenly has been here for 10 years. She's technically been here the whole time, but you know they wouldn't let her be on season 1 because they said she was too fat and unattractive. So that's when she got the bariatric surgery. No shade, Dr. Heavenly. No shade. Leave the show. If the stress of the show is putting a strain on you conceiving a child with your husband, leave the show. It's literally that simple. It's so simple. It doesn't make a lick of sense to stay around in an environment that you call stressful. You know what happens when a job stressed me out so much that my memory is fucked up and I feel like I need to go check into a mental health facility? I quit. Because my sanity and my life is more important than that job. Your husband has you on a deadline to conceive and have a child. He said by whatever birthday it is, if the child is not implanted, then he's done trying. You need to be off this show and focusing on that. Attending your doctor's appointments. doing whatever surgeries you feel are necessary, taking your temperature 50 times a day and meeting him at random places to boom, boom, boom. You need to be doing that, not sitting up on motherfucking national TV arguing with these bitches. And from Dr. G's standpoint, I genuinely don't understand what would make him want to come back on this show. He know that this is, for lack of better words, the house that Quad built. He was a newlywed when they started filming Married to Medicine season 1, because what was one of the main things that came up? How their wedding was postponed because they both got arrested for a domestic incident like a week or days before their wedding was scheduled to take place. My idea of being a married couple or a couple in general on reality TV is that there needs to be enough time for you to establish who you are as a couple before you start letting cameras and the United States of America into your home. That's the one thing I can appreciate about Shamia having a peach now. Shamia was offered a peach at least thrice. It might have been more than that, but I know for a fact that she was offered a peach 3 times and she turned it down because her husband didn't want to do it because they were newlyweds and they needed to set the foundation of their family, which means getting to know each other as husband and wife, having their first child, having their second child. They needed to do that and establish themselves as a couple first so that they know who they are, because reality TV infamously tears apart marriages. It doesn't matter how long you've been married. We've watched marriages tear apart in real time on television. So he wanted to take the time to establish his marriage and his family before he let them cameras in his house. Also the casting was important as well, but that's a different story. And I think in order for Dr. G and Sweet Tea to be successful in their marriage and in their family planning, they need not be on this show. Quad has said in an interview with, I think it's the Reality Tea podcast by Page 6, that they will probably stay married for a long time out of spite. Nobody believes in your marriage. So get your ass off this show, because what's the point? These women have already showed you that they're going to choose their friend of 10 plus years over you. And on top of that, no one believes in your marriage. Nobody cares or believes into your marriage. So why the hell are you hanging around these women who got a decade on you anyway? All these women are in their 40s. You are 33. Girl, find you some friends, some real friends in Atlanta. Not friends that are curated because of a television show and temporary hate for one person. You got invoked into something. It's like when your homegirl and her boyfriend break up and they beefing, and you tell your homegirl, yeah, fuck that nigga, blah, 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 blah. And you talk all this shit about them just for them to get back together. And now it's awkward with you because she done pillow talked and said what you said. That's exactly how the situation is playing out. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to go for the better good of your marriage. And you need to let these women figure out what they're going to do with their show, because this was never your show. This was never going to be your show. They just wanted you to push Quad out, and then they quickly realized how terrible of an idea that was, because those ratings went to hell quickly after they kicked Quad off that trip. And they realized that they don't need you, and they need her more, and they value her more. Which is why the season played out the way it did for you. So I think it's time for Sweet Tea and Dr. G to go. But I also think it's time for a really big retooling for Married to Medicine. Because if things don't change quickly with this show, we'll only have it for another season or 2. And that's what we'll talk about in the next video. I'm the hip hop homegirl, Tatiana Janine. Thanks for listening to my rant. I'll see y'all next time.